Hello, everybody, to GillHB and friends. It's been a while since I've recorded one of these episodes, but I thought it was really important. I'm with a very special lady called Sarah Fowler, and Sarah's got quite a story to tell, which I think is incredibly important to get out there, and I know Sarah does as well. And I'm going to really let Sarah start telling her story. And Sarah, start where you want. Obviously, you're cabin crew and you work for Virgin, and this happened on a flight when you were en route. So over to you.
Thank you. So I've been a crew for Virgin Atlantic for 25 years now. And of course, we're a long haul airline, so I fly all over the world. And it happened on a layover in Los Angeles. It was actually the final day, so it was a couple of hours before I was getting ready to check out. I'd done my normal routine. I'd been to the gym. We'd had a lovely trip. We went hiking around the Hollywood sign the day before. Lovely dinner the evening before, and then so I got up, went to the gym, and then I thought, oh, it's such a hot day. I can't be bothered to shower, so I just went straight to the pool, and then I thought, I'm gonna go and get some lunch, and I need a new lipstick for work, so I need to go to Sephora. So it's funny what you remember and what you were doing. So I thought, right, I better go now so I can get some rest before checkout.
Cabin crew and their lippy.
I know routines, yeah. I
Yeah.
thought, well, I've got a couple of hours. I'd like to have a rest after my lunch because obviously it's a long evening and long night flight back to the UK. So off I
Hmm.
went, and I went out the back
Hmm.
of the hotel. I said there was a couple of crew that I've been talking to around the pool. So off I walked out the back of the hotel. I got to the main road, and I looked at the normal crossing, and I thought, oh, it's too hot to walk in the sun, so I'll stay on this side and I'll cross at the pedestrian crossing by Starbucks. So I carried on in the shade. Got to the crossing, wasn't thinking anything of it. I wasn't on my phone. I was just enjoying the sunshine. It turned green for me, so I started crossing the road, and it was on a crossroads. So there was a car turning left into me, which they can do in the US, as long as, the law actually states you have to be 50% across the crossing
Hmm.
before a car can go over the pedestrian crossing. But unlike the UK, legally, they can do that as long as, say,
Hmm.
there's no pedestrians and it's 50%. So I saw her indicate, and I saw her coming round very slowly, never thought anything of it. And then the next minute, I knew I'd been hit. And because I knew I was on the bonnet, I felt the energy of the car. I knew it was on the bonnet. This fear of,
Wow.
in fact, my first thought was they'd aimed for me because I couldn't
Mm.
my brain couldn't understand why someone would hit me one would hit me, but secondly on a pedestrian crossing. So the sort of fear, and then the next thing I
Yeah.
remember was I was on the ground further down the road. The car had stopped, and she was out the car apologizing. And then the kind of relief, I guess, came over me that she'd stopped, and I was safe, if that makes sense. That
Hmm.
they hadn't aimed for me. It was an
Yeah.
accident, and
Yeah. But she wasn't going to run you
yeah,
over.
but yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But
Yeah.
from coming off the bonnet,
What sort of age was
I think
she?
she was around 40s. I think, not young, not old, and I sort of remember
Okay.
saying,
So not a youngster, not in her
no, no,
20s,
no,
or not
no.
an
Yeah,
elderly. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So she was apologising, and then I remember a guy. So I was on the floor, and at that time, all the pain started sort of around my hips, bum, that area. Um, but I remember a guy running across the crossing who'd witnessed it, and he was a retired policeman. So he rang the paramedics and the police, and then the guy on my left came up, and he was like, "Are you with anyone who, what can we do?" And I was like, so I can remember asking him, "Where's my bag?" I had
Mm.
a little tote bag, which ripped, and I was gutted because it was just after King's coronation, and it was one of the bags. I was like, my bag, um, and then everything was intact. Mate, you got my flip flops. Um,
So I've just been knocked down.
I was like, oh, my new bag.
So I've just been knocked down and I'm worried about my
Yeah, it
bag.
was the King's
That's
coronation
typical crew.
bag. So he got my bag, which was, it was ripped. My phone, all I had was like my phone, my purse, a bottle of water, and my flip-flops had come off, and they gathered that everything was in one piece, so they put it all back together. And I said to him, if he goes on my phone and goes in my WhatsApp messages, we always, or most of the time, we do a group WhatsApp, so we can, obviously we fly out as a crew, we're there as a crew, return as a crew. So to keep in touch with what everybody's doing, what time everyone's meeting for dinner, we always have a group WhatsApp. And also, if you need to get hold of anyone in this particular circumstance, which you'd never think would ever happen, but it was literally a lifesaver because I said, just look for LAX October the 4th and then ring anyone. And I said, if you can find a Nikki, ring there, because I knew I'd just said goodbye to her by the pool. So I knew she would probably pick up, which she did. And then before I know it, crew were very good at knowing exactly what to do and how to get the wheels in motion. So before I know it, there was a policeman in front of me on a motorbike. He'd come off the highway, and the paramedics were there already. And then Nikki and all the other crew that was sat around the pool had come racing there. So I let them take over pretty much, and make sure the captain's aware. And then we knew that on a company side of things, everything was set in motion, and they'd ring Medair, which is the company that look after us when we're away. They're the ones that would make sure we go to the right hospital, and they pay the bills, their own insurers, and they'll make sure we're looked after. So they kind of got that going, and that was kind of a relief then, because I knew I could just sort of sit back and everything was taken care of. And then put in the ambulance.
And you were in agony at this point, I presume?
I was in pain. The agony hadn't quite started. I just knew I was in pain, and it was all around my pelvis, my bum, because I kept saying it's in my bum when they were asking, and then I realised I probably had no idea what I was saying. But I was also, I think, in shock, and the adrenaline was pumping. So although there was a lot of pain, it wasn't unbearable at that stage, and they'd put stuff in me already. I can't really remember much. And then all I remember after that was the hospital being round the corner. I didn't even know there was one that close, but I remember thinking, we've literally been in the ambulance for 5 minutes, and then I wheeled into the trauma unit, and then this lovely doctor, and it was funny what you remember, because they did what they needed to do, and made sure you're insured. That was the first thing. Once they knew I could pay the bills, or the company would pay the bills, then I was away. But he was really lovely. He was like, don't worry, you haven't got a 12-hour wait like you would in the NHS. So obviously everybody knows our problems around the world. Really, really nice. So again, it's these conversations that stick in your mind. And I thought, crikey, what's going now? The next thing you turn your mind to is, what have I done?
So at this point I
had no idea of my injuries, but I knew I was in pain, but I knew my spine was okay, and I knew my head was okay, because although I didn't hit it, the head, it was all my lower body. When I came off the bonnet, I skidded, because I did have a graze, but I didn't have a head injury or a spinal injury at that stage. That was kind of obvious. And I sort of felt that was the biggest relief for me. 2 major things that could have happened didn't. So, I was just waiting to find out. But I had the full CT, and then he came back and he said, sort of from your head to your stomach, you're okay. But you've messed up your pelvis area quite a bit. And I sort of had 3 major fractures to my pelvis, and a few other bits that had smashed. So so that's when I knew. Well, actually, they explained everything, and then I was speaking to Medair, the nurses at Medair as well, and they were saying, your adrenaline's pumping at the moment, but as that wears off, the pain is going to start. So don't be afraid to ask for narcotics, as they call it, which I found quite amusing. As and when you need it, because you kind of are expected. It's because Medair are brilliant. They're based in Phoenix, so they know the lingo of what happens in the US. They said, don't be afraid to speak out. And sort of halfway through the night, it all hit, and it was a case of getting the balance right of what I needed to stop the pain. So a bit of a night.
When were they deciding about an operation? And so you just said there, halfway through the night. I'm going to apologise to people. We've got a slight delay on the call.
So they once they knew it was that pelvis was fractured, they got a surgeon down to have a look at the images straight away, and they're taking x-rays as well. And then at that stage they thought that it could probably heal itself, which they prefer to do with pelvises. Apparently, if they can heal themselves, but they will keep checking the images as we went along to see. But at that stage they felt that it could repair itself, which was a massive relief.
I mean, just to interject there, did you know at that point, because what the lady and how she'd hit you, or the reason that she'd hit you? Because I think you found out later on she was actually looking at her phone.
We believe so, yeah. So at the time, I remember, because the police pretty much followed me to the hospital and took my statement, because she was going slow initially, so something distracted her from going round the corner and almost stopping to then putting her foot down and not looking. So she said to the police that she just didn't see me. But from the witnesses, but we believe she looked down and got distracted by her phone and then put her foot down because she momentarily lost concentration. Literally in a split second, it all happened. Literally just shows you it must have, I don't even know what the time span was, but seconds. And that was enough for her to forget that she was at a pedestrian crossing and just put her foot down to go. So the police took the statement. She was apologetic at the time and again kept saying the same thing. I didn't see you, but just perspective. I am 5'9", and can easily be seen if you were looking where you were going.
Yeah, you're not small.
No. I might be on my own, but yeah.
So how do you feel about people with phones in cars now? Because we're all very tempted by it, and we have sat navs which we glance at and play around with. So you get very upset if you see somebody now on a mobile phone in the car, or if you're in a car with somebody.
I get frustrated. I mean, at the time, whilst I was in hospital for a month in LA, and obviously it's taken 2 years and 2 months to get back flying. So it's been a really long recovery. And I never held any anger towards her because I felt like it wasn't going to help my recovery. I always thought it's happened. I can't do anything about it. I can't change it. So let's just concentrate on healing. And was I annoyed? I was annoyed that she would be so careless and frustrated. But it kind of came, I think, afterwards when I got through the healing and I was, I guess, back out walking. When I was trying to do my rehab, and I'd go out the house, 1 lamppost, 2 lampposts, and started being around traffic again. And then when I was seeing people on the phones or just driving carelessly, then that's when the anger started going, because I just thought you've no idea the damage that you can cause by not concentrating. And because it only took a split second, it made me even angrier. So then that's when I just have this, this anger towards people, because you think it's not worth it. It's not you that's going to be impacted, it's other people. And the kind of impact that she's had on my life by looking down for why there was no need for it. And if I see anyone on social media filming themselves driving, and I don't care if it's hands-free, you're still distracted because what are you thinking about? How do I look on this video? What am I videoing? What am I trying to come across? You're not concentrating on where you're going, and that's when accidents happen. So that kind of makes me really frustrated as well. It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
I mean, I agree with you, and it's so annoying when you see people doing that. I mean, it is distracting. I have sat nav and it's plugged into my phone. So, I use Waze or whatever. So you plug your phone in, sat nav comes up on our car. And of course, the other thing that comes up then is if a message comes through, it'll say WhatsApp and who's done it, or text and who's sending it.
Does,
and it does distract you. When you see it flick up on the screen. So I'm very aware.
Yeah, and it's so easily done. It's not about pointing blame, because I use Waze as well, and you can see them coming through, but I see things completely different now. And I think it's just so easily done. and it's about, I guess, being aware that it only takes a split second
Yeah.
to lose concentration, and you think you're okay, even in standing traffic,
Yeah.
which in some respects she was almost at a standstill, got distracted, but then forgot where she was and put her foot down. So, it just shows you that it doesn't need to be speeding along on a motorway. It can be at a light, at pedestrian crossing, things like that. It's so easily done, and the damage obviously
Yeah.
from it
And
is
I think the
immense.
impact on you has been huge compared to her. And it's taken you 2 years, as you said,
Yes,
2 years and 2 months of
yeah,
recovery to get
I
back. And you
did,
did your
yeah.
first flight was it a week or so ago? But also, Sarah, it's also the mental scars, isn't it? And I take my hat off to you for getting back on that flight.
Because it's
And
triggering
people
going
don't
back.
realize the impact they have on your mental
Yeah,
trauma.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just I've worked a lot around crossing roads again, because although I worked in the UK, it still felt awful to be around cars and but it was
Mm,
also happened in the US. So it happened in a situation that is different to the UK, because again, everyone's going to still be able to turn right on a red or go left through pedestrian crossings. So
mm,
I've had to work to understand that I'm going to have to be in that situation again, and I have to trust that they're not going to not look where they're going. And I think I've always felt, if it was my fault in any shape or form, like I was jaywalking, or I was distracted by my phone on a pedestrian and I wasn't careful, or was running and it turned
mm,
red, then you can kind of go, oh, shouldn't have done that, live and learn. I'll not do that again. But when it was completely out your hands, it's
mm.
hard to say, oh well, I won't do that. You really have got to put your trust in the fact that they're not going to do it again, when you know full well now that these things can and may happen. So it's taken that sort of vulnerability away from, I guess, life in a way, because yeah, I know that life can change in a heartbeat, and you complete just going to get your lunch on a random day, on a normal LA trip, turned into sort of two years and 2 months of recovery, and it sort of
Yeah.
took a long, long time, and you've always got that hanging over your head, so it's
I mean, the good thing
taken a lot to get back, but I'm so glad I did do it.
the good thing about when you're cabin crew is, and I presume, did your mum or anybody come out, or were they allowed to come out? Because again, you're in America, so you haven't got your normal friends popping in like you're in a hospital in the UK,
Yeah.
and it's quite traumatic for them when they've heard you've had an accident and you're in hospital. I mean, I had an incident years ago before mobile phones or anything like that as crew, and it wasn't one of our regular routes. And I ended up in hospital in Iceland, and the crew left the next day. I didn't know, I was operated on overnight, and when I woke up, the crew had been recalled. It was all to do with DC-10 stuff, and had disappeared. So I'm stuck in Iceland on my own, and nobody kind of knew where I was. But it's that very interesting scenario. But I do know, having been crew, that if one of the crew were in hospital, other crew were always told or got to know. I mean, much easier these days, isn't it, with WhatsApp and
Yeah.
having mobile phones, that if crew are coming in, they can come and visit. So that you do have kind of a turnover of visitors. But also
Yeah,
flying
exactly.
home. I mean, when did they allow you? So you were in hospital a month, but when
Yeah,
did
so I was
they
in
then
hospital a
allow
month.
you to fly?
Well, I was really lucky because the way, we've learned a lot since the DC-10 days. So we also learned, we have Medair, which is this amazing company looking after us. But also we work brilliantly as a team. We are,
Yeah.
we do call ourselves a Virgin family, but we really are. And so we the when my crew, I was insistent that
Mm,
none of my crew came to the hospital after the two crew. I sent them back because I was also aware that if, for example, the captain wanted to come, but if he came to the hospital, it was disturbing his rest and then therefore potentially cancelling a flight home. I didn't want any of that. I was so worried about
mm.
causing any more trouble, which is, I know, ridiculous, but because it wasn't. But I was adamant. So we have two flights a day.
But it's typical
Yeah,
you,
I know, I
Sarah.
know. I was like, please don't come, get some rest, fly home. I'm, sorry to let you down, kind of thing. But which is, I know, they were all like, you're daft. But we stay obviously a couple of days layover. We have 2 flights a day, so there's quite a lot of crew in the hotel in LA. So you hand it over to the next manager, the next captain that's in. They then hand it. So every day there's a handover. If anyone's left en route for whatever illness, whether you're in your hotel room recovering or you're in hospital, then we do a handover. And then obviously word got out. So I was so lucky. I had plenty of visitors every single day of that month. Yes, and obviously they'd fly family out, friends out, whoever needed to come out, came out. So yeah, I was really spoiled. I had hospital room full of gifts from not just my crew family, the Virgin medical department, the hotel, LAX, who were, obviously, it gets round. I was spoiled rotten, really well looked after, wasn't alone at all. And that's how we operate now. We look out for each other and we make sure we get the best care. So it did escalate a little bit when I was in hospital. So I then got a DVT, pulmonary embolism, and a few more issues. Bladder packed in, and
wow.
Yeah, quite a few sort of quite a few accidental finds from the MRIs as well that gave me some grief. So it was finally a month later I got clearance to fly home. So it was a case of then how we're going to get me home. So that was the tricky part. It was either air ambulance, but then I figured if I had to go by air ambulance, I'd have to go to hospital when I got to the UK. And for me, that was a absolute no-no. I really didn't want to I wanted to go home. So in the end, I did another week in hospital rehab, and that really shaped me up. It was like, we practiced being able to, as well as the rehab of getting my pelvis moving, and we practiced getting in and out of mock cars. Can I sit there for how long? They even mocked up in the rehab gym in the hospital. We practiced getting in and out of the upper class suite that we have at Virgin. So everybody worked together to get me back. And in the end, I managed, I was quite drugged up, but I managed to sit in a car to LAX, which took just under an hour, wheelchair through, a carry on to the upper class suite, laid down. The suite is brilliant because it goes from a seat to a bed, so I could keep changing my position without moving, by the toilet, and I had a nurse from Medair fly home with me as well, and then a lift, because I didn't want an ambulance, so I was determined to get there on my own, and we made it in the end. Obviously it was worrying because I know what a journey that is. I live in Yorkshire, don't live anywhere near Heathrow, so I knew it was a challenge, but it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be in the end. We took it step by step, and I made it back. So I think it was the biggest relief was I've got 2 steps to my front door and that's it. So that was, a challenge. But once I'd got through though, through the front door, it was just this massive relief of being home, I guess being back in a safe space, but also a worry because all the medics had dropped off, and now all of a sudden on my own, nobody's supporting me.
You're on your own.
Which was a part of the experience I didn't expect. I didn't see coming. I thought it would be the biggest relief, and it was, to be home, but also you have to you forget that actually you're still quite poorly, and you haven't got a nurse on call and a doctor on call and a physio literally carrying you everywhere. So it was quite an adjustment to get used to that as well, weirdly enough. I had to do everything myself.
And then was it big rehab, etc., in the UK under a UK hospital?
I had to then I had to I was lucky that I've got private healthcare through work as well, but it was a case of then going to see an orthopedic doctor, a liver doctor as well, because sort of slightly different. They did find a tumour on my liver. That was one of the accidental finds, so that needed dealing with. The haematologist for the blood clots.
Wow.
So I had to register with all them, and so it to be honest, I kept quiet for about a week, maybe 2. I just didn't want any hospitals, any doctors. I just carried on the rehab that LA had given me, and then thought, right, I'm going to have to do it now. I just needed leaving alone for a week or so just to get my head around everything, and then set it all in motion and started again. So that took quite a while. And obviously a physio in the UK as well. I needed to start that up again. But I felt like,
So actually, there was a positive out of it. You just said they found a small
yeah,
tumor
they
on your
did. I
liver,
had a couple of,
and you had to deal with
yeah, they
that.
found a tumor in my liver, which turned out to be. It took a while to figure that one out, because we needed, in LA they wanted to concentrate on the pelvis injuries and the blood clots and everything, but it turned out, I was really, really lucky. It turned out to be what they call a liver hemangioma, which is a benign tumor, which I was probably born with.
Right.
And it's a group of blood vessels. So I was really, really lucky. It wasn't anything more
Right.
sinister. Obviously that hung over my head for a little bit, but in my eyes, I'd won the lottery again by, I'd
Yeah.
already won it by kind of walking away from the incident,
Wow.
and then having that, and then finding out what it was a massive relief. The the slight issue was the fact I was on blood thinners for the blood clots, and because I was on blood thinners and this tumor is a group of blood vessels,
Right.
the risk of it bleeding went up significantly. So if I was to stay on blood thinners, then they were looking at operating on the
Wow.
tumor. If I wasn't, so to cut a long story short, I have now come off blood thinners. So I don't need surgery at the moment, but my risk of getting another clot is slightly higher. So if I do end up back on the tablets at any stage in my life, then I would go
Yeah.
back to them. But again, it's such a relief, to have. Yes, it caused a few problems, but it was problems that are treatable, and that's just the biggest relief, isn't it? Like going back to me feeling relieved about no spinal injury, no head injury, and it
Yeah.
being, but that's how I kind of looked at everything. It's a massive relief to have injuries that will heal. These accidental finds, they were dealt
Yeah.
with, and it might have caused a bit of a headache at the time, but it was only so through the fact that I was on medication or not on medication that it caused the problems. But I was massively relieved, and also I guess I found them now.
Yeah.
So, I know going forward, they're the kind of things that I need to be aware of. A couple of holes in my heart as well that they found. Again, probably born with
Keep
them.
an eye on.
Yeah, just keep an eye on
Absolutely.
them. So,
Oh my
yeah,
God,
I know.
Sarah.
Honestly, it went on and on. You can't write it, can you? But again, I feel
But
blessed
you've
'cause
just
I think
done your
I found
first
them now.
flight, as you said, and
Yeah,
no.
yeah. Which, so I'm safe to fly because obviously I'm on my feet.
But also it's that being around cars, as you said, it's that mental thing that people don't see and wonder why you jump, or as to just dealing with being out with a car. I mean, I remember a small incident. How about you getting back to driving then? How did that must have taken a while as well for you to be able to drive? Again, the impact on your life is huge.
Yeah, it took me a while to get back to driving anyway, because obviously I couldn't drive for at least 6 months. Probably think it might be longer in the end. But it wasn't, when I was driving, I actually felt okay. If I saw accidents, I sort of made me feel sick, because but more on the thought of like, oh God, these poor people, like some idiot which driving carelessly has caused someone's whole life to change. And it sort of hit me more on that aspect, the empathy side. So driving I've been okay with. It's been walking around. I'm quite rural, so walking down country lanes and people don't, just shoot by you really quick, and that I was almost over exaggerating getting out of the way because I didn't want them anywhere near me.
Yeah, they do.
And car parks in shopping centres, supermarkets, particularly, people don't realise that they're so busy looking for a space, and they're so busy, and they're distracted by so many things that they're not looking around at the pedestrians walking into the shops. So that was quite a challenging thing to even walk through, like Sainsbury's car park, because even if I saw a reverse light coming on and I was just about to go behind them, that would really set me off, because people tend to move before they look up. So I was almost on a heightened awareness of people's actions and
Yeah.
crossing pedestrian crossings. And even in the UK, unless I know they're going to stop and they're seeing me and they're looking at me, I wouldn't cross. So on the zebra crossings, until I know they are stopping, because sometimes people will stop and then they start rolling slightly, and I thought, and I can't do that. Like my legs just wouldn't cross, because I thought, are they seeing me? Are they rolling again? So unless I know they're 100% seeing me and stopping, I'll stand there. I think I've had some very funny looks, as if to say, why are you not crossing? But and my legs wouldn't take it. They just won't physically do it. And I've just been in London with my friends, and they were crossing when it was red because it was clear. And yeah, it was clear, but I physically cannot do it, because unless I can see both directions, it's 100% clear, then I will not cross, in case there's I just can't do it anymore. And that sort of fear of somebody coming unexpectedly, and especially if it was red, it's my fault then, there's just no way. So I don't do that anymore. And just heightened awareness of any car anywhere near me.
But there's all of that.
Yeah, it's taken a lot. I'm in a better place now. Absolutely. But it's taken a lot of work,
and it's being aware that that's the trauma.
Yes, and so the flashbacks from it, and working with it. And I've worked really hard. We've got good support at work as well, so the counselling, being able to access some great therapists to be able to work with, talking through things and normalising things, and not avoiding it was the main thing. Is not avoiding it, facing it, and taking baby steps, because you very often think of the end result. It's that end result, isn't it?
And I know you ride horses, so it's like that old adage, isn't it? When you fall off the horse, get back on it.
Incidentally, I've not.
I mean, you might decide never to ride again, and that's different.
At the moment, I'm in that I've been riding a couple of times. It took a while physically to do it, and then out on the roads, it was a bit too much. So I've not. I suppose I've avoided that a little bit. I have gone back, but I've maybe gone riding in the school, but it's just the cars around again, and but also, funnily enough, it's just comes out in different ways, and just not felt ready. But I will, because I really miss it. I just need to find the right balance of maybe staying inside for a while rather than going out on the roads or in the fields, and that'll come back. But and I got back on, so that's the main thing, which it's just strange. But I think a little bit is as well the fear of injury again, and going through it all again. I just think it's a little bit too soon. You sort of, any little jolt, normally I sort of enjoy that almost when I'm riding, but now it's like it's too much. The thought of having an accident, it's a little bit much. But I'll get back to it, because I know it's all baby steps. It's just small. It's exposing myself in small doses, building it up and up and up, which is what I've done around cars, and got to a place now where I'm in a better place, a lot better place. I don't avoid a road or a crossing. I just do it in my own time when I feel safe and ready. And I've just come back from New York, and that's horrific for traffic, but it was so busy that you're crossing with a crowd, so I felt safe. All the crew wanted to sort of wrap me up in cotton wool, which is really sweet, and that's what we do. But I needed to also go out and walk the streets on my own, which I did do on the layover, and was really pleased with myself for doing that, and massively relieved. So I know it's I was in a different circumstance, in a different city, but it's still exposure, it's still building up, and it's what I need. So I felt brilliant afterwards for just getting back out there and doing it, and facing those triggers that haunted me.
And the ultimate will be to go back to LA, of course, because it'll be the same hotel that you all stay in. It'll be that pool. It'll be walking along that road and crossing that crossing. And when you do that, that kind of really says, okay, I've faced the fear, really. I've faced the trauma. I've gone back, because then the brain kind of goes, okay, the last memory I have of crossing that road is not the one where I had the accident. It's actually the last memory I have, I was
Yeah.
fine, etc. You know, and as we were talking about earlier, if you decide, I don't want to fly anymore, actually, I quite enjoy being on the ground, I've flown for 20 years, then you finish on a positive, and it's not one that's chased you out of flying, if you know what I mean. So you've gone back, you've proved
Yeah.
you can do it. And if you then at some point decide to change your job in your future, it's not because of, it becomes a different decision,
Yeah.
which is hugely important,
Yeah,
mentally,
exactly.
psychologically, emotionally, for you to move on.
Yeah.
So, what would be your biggest tip? What would be your biggest please don't do it or thing to people that you'd want to get out there now about driving and phones?
Oh, no TikTok video, no post on social media is worth anybody's life. And, it's understanding what an impact you can have. But not just on your own life. If you cause an accident, you've got that guilt for the rest of your life, especially if it's fatal. It's not worth it. If you can't, we're all addicted to our phones. We all,
Yeah.
we're all of us. We all need to work extra hard not to be distracted by our phones. But if you can't put it in your handbag and put your handbag in the boot, then you've got no choice. You can't look at it. Put it out of reach because it's so tempting, and I understand it
Yeah.
is, but it takes 1 second to be distracted to change somebody's life or your own life. It's not worth it. If you're in a machine that can kill, and you're in control of that machine, and it's your responsibility to drive it responsibly, because the repercussions will be on you, but also those innocent people that life you change. Even if it's what you think might be a small injury, it's not. The knock-on effect of these injuries on somebody's life, you've got no idea how it can change it. It's not worth it. Pop it away. And to me, when I see people filming cars, it's not good. It's not cool. You look stupid. You're reckless. Put it away. It's not worth it. Don't do it. Put it in the boot so you can't be distracted.
Well done, Sarah. Thank you. I think it was really important. I apologise for the quality of the call because it is a bit disjointed, and I hope everybody can hear it perfectly all right. But I think that's the main thing, isn't it? Is that why I wanted to talk to you,
Yeah.
is to get it out now, because it's not just phones now. We're really close to Christmas. I'm starting to see the signs that says, don't put the drugs in the driving seat. And I think,
Yeah.
it used to be drink
Yeah.
drive in my age. Now it's definitely drugs and it's mobile phones. You can change people's lives. I mean, if you
Yeah.
have an accident, you as the driver might survive because you see accidents, but you might kill your friends
Yeah.
who are alongside you in the car. Or you might, as
Exactly.
you say, kill that
Yeah.
pedestrian or damage their life in some way. You could have had life-changing injuries,
Yeah.
not necessarily fatal, but you
Yeah.
could have had life-changing injuries which stay with you for the rest of your life. And you say
Yeah.
you're still working
Exactly.
hard to overcome that moment in time becomes way longer than a moment. So I'm
Yeah.
sure everybody listening
Exactly.
wishes you well, Sarah. Glad you're back in the air.
Oh, thank
And as I
you.
said, that LA will be the final piece of the puzzle, won't it, that goes
It
in,
will. Yeah.
that says,
Absolutely. Yeah.
okay,
Bring it
I've
on.
faced that trauma now, I've redone that. And, I've realised I've known you for probably 10, 11, even 12 years now, from when we
Yeah.
used
I
to do
think
the
maybe
Flying
more.
Without Fear
Yeah.
courses. And you're an amazing female. And only you would go with that really positive,
Thank you.
that positive mindset. So thank you so much. And I'm
I
sure
know.
everybody wishes
You're
you
welcome.
well.
Thank you so much.
That's me talking to Sarah Fowler, and I hope everybody has listened to her message here. It's a very personal story about the impact that phones can have. If you'd like to make sure you get every single one of my episodes, and funny enough, I am following up in the new year talking to a driving instructor, which will follow on very nicely from this podcast. So if you want to make sure you get every episode, please go to GillHB and Friends and subscribe. To everybody here, as we're approaching Christmas on this episode, please, 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 on behalf of Sarah and other people, do not use your phone. Have a safe Christmas.